Celebrity Stage Stories is an Edge magazine special presentation. Each issue of Edge explores a compelling theme with an intriguing blend of essays, articles, and photography, along with interviews with the biggest names in TV, movies, music, and more. Visit Edge Magazine's website for free digital versions of the magazine, exclusive digital content, and more at edgemagonline.com, and follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram today. Now, on with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us here, Celebrity Stage Stories, with Jerry Strauss. That is me. And, our friends at Edge Magazine help to power us. They help to support us. And they help to entertain us all throughout New Jersey and beyond. So it is with extreme pride and honor that we introduce to you certainly a gentleman who is regarded as Jersey royalty in his own right. Kevin Smith, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having. Jersey royalty is something that I aspired to my whole life. Being from Jersey, to be in Jersey, but more than other Jerseyans.
Yeah, I think it's on the next level.
Makes you that you might as well be a New Yorker. That's one step away from being a New Yorker. I haven't been very shy about the fact that I'm buying a movie theater in Atlantic Highlands, New Jersey, one of my hometown theaters where I grew up going to the movies and stuff. And so we're coming up with like this big mural to put into the lobby that's got like nothing but like, these are all the fuckers that came from New Jersey that became successful. Like, look, there's fucking Tom Cruise. He was here once, and fucking DeVito and Nicholson and like Brittany Murphy, stuff like that. And it takes me back to like the idea is, some kid coming in the movie theater can look up and be like, holy shit, these people came from New Jersey. Maybe I got a shot, which always takes me back to when I was a kid, that anybody would reference New Jersey, like in a movie or TV show. It was like, oh my God, they know we exist. Like you felt positively cosmopolitan. You felt like you were part of the conversation. And I think that's what I've always been trying to accomplish, is be part of the conversation. Jersey is an excellent conversation starter, I found. Worldwide, man. It just carries with it credibility that other places don't necessarily have. If I was from Rhode Island, it wouldn't make much of a difference. The fact that I come from Jersey helps a little bit.
It's so distinct. And, I was actually going to ask you, because Jersey is such an important part of so many of your movies. I was wondering if there were any movies back in your pre-movie making days that specifically represented Jersey that inspired you to, do the same when you were making your own stuff.
No, that's the thing. I mean, every time they would reference our home state, the Garden State in the flick, it was thrilling. But there's shit like On the Waterfront. Don't get me wrong. There have been plenty of New Jersey movies, but I was a child. Yeah. So On the Waterfront, this is going to sound ironic coming from the guy who made Clerks, but why would I watch a black and white movie? You know what I'm saying? Like I was a kid at the time. So naturally that wouldn't have the impact that culturally and in film history that On the Waterfront means with and to New Jersey and stuff. So for me, like that was why I was so eager to make Clerks where I worked. Like, number one, it was easy and I had access to the store, right. But there wasn't a lot of New Jersey film content. Like they would come here to shoot, but then they'd fuck off and they'd be like, that was New York. And when you watch the thing, they wouldn't say it was necessarily New Jersey.
The one that came to mind for me from my youth was The Karate Kid, but then I thought about it and I realized it's the first 2 minutes of the movie and they're getting the hell out of Jersey.
Yeah, most Jersey origin stories like have people leaving the state. That was one thing I was always proud about. My characters were content to stay within state. They were, and Clerks 2 at one point, one of the plot hinges on whether or not Dante is going to move away to Florida, and then ultimately he decides to stay in New Jersey. So it's in my DNA, man. And a lot of people feel like, man, you're just so like flag waving for the state. I absolutely adore the state, don't get me wrong, but I think it's just because this is where I was from. Like if I had been from any other state, I'm sure I would have been like, and this is what I'm doing local, The fact that I got to be from New Jersey, which adds to it this weird layer of credibility, working class credibility that I think Bruce, and Bon Jovi are kind of responsible for, and I was just benefiting from, has been absolutely fucking magical. If I was from Georgia, I don't think it would have made much of a difference. Being from New Jersey has sometimes been the only thing that's kept my career alive.
Well, I wanted to ask you, and I don't know if this is specifically a Jersey thing, but growing up in Atlantic Highlands, right? In that area.
I grew up in Highlands, and Atlantic's the next town over, but
Gotcha.
People juxtapose them. But yeah, Highlands, right by Sandy Hook on the beach.
Yeah. Now, is there something specific that you can look back on about like the environment you grew up in, the just sort of the people around you, just the vibe of the area that you embodied, that you lived in, that kind of pointed you into a creative direction, that you think kind of was a formative reason that you became became the kind of guy that you became, and had the career that you had?
I think, like, for lack of a better description, my journey with self-expression began because of a Jersey girl, specifically, my sister Virginia. I found a composition notebook under her bed when I was a kid. It was about five or 6 years old. And I opened it up, and the front page was a drawing. And I could recognize my sister's style, her art style. It was her and her friends. They were kneeling around like a cellar door. And the big title said "The Secret of the Cellar Door." So I asked her, I was like, "What is this?" And she was like, "This is a book that I'm writing. It's a story about me and my friends go on an adventure." And I was like, "You can't just write a book. You got to ask for permission from the government." And she's like, "Why?" And I was like, "Because we have a library card and the flag is on it and the eagle. Like that's official." And she goes, "Look, not every book looks like the books in the library, and you don't have to get permission to write ever. Like anybody can write whatever they want at any time." And that really captured my imagination. It's not like, and then that day I started writing. But when I started writing, which was within the next year, man, the family had this big electric typewriter, and it was fun to even play with, to start off with before one was actually writing. Just because, like, there was no internet, there were no computers, there was no cable TV. This was a thing you plugged in and it hummed and it sounded official and it was very powerful and stuff. Right. And then once I learned how to use it and tell a story, like that became one of my best friends, was the electric typewriter. So my sister kind of paved the way. It wasn't, like, even though I grew up in the, backyard in Springsteen country, yeah, I was too young for that music to make an impact on me. I knew he was famous and I knew he was local, but a guy singing about getting out to a kid who, like, his idea of getting out is like, as we get across the street to Pete King's yard so we could play Star Wars, it would have been completely lost on me, and it wasn't until later on that I was able to, hear the poetry of Bruce Springsteen and appreciate it. But as a kid, nothing there. There was a movie that was shot in our neck of the woods in Atlantic Highlands, including in front of that movie theater that I'm buying, the Atlantic Highlands movie theater, which is now called the Atlantic Movie House. It was called Don't Go Into the House. It was a horror movie. Okay. And the house that represented the killer's lair, where he would bring women and chain them up and then use a flamethrower on them. He was that guy. That house is the Historical Society house now in Atlantic Highlands. So when we were kids, you would watch that movie, like you'd either rent it or it would be on like the movie channel, and you'd be like, that's here. Like I could bike to that house. Like that's real. That exists. Yeah. Little tangible moments like that. But I didn't live in a place where they constantly shot, so that production was a regular part of our lives. It was so, rare. And you never saw it happen. I remember before I made Clerks, I want to say it was like 1991, maybe 92. There was a movie called Fathers and Sons, which had Jeff Goldblum in it and Rory Cochrane. And that shot like in our neck of the woods. Like they at the Highlands Recreation Center where I worked, they were interviewing people to be PAs, and me and
Hmm.
Brian Johnson like tried to be PAs, but obviously they could tell that we weren't in it for the right reasons. We just wanted to look at movie stars and shit like that, so we never got hired.
Right.
So there were moments that you could kind of look at or reach to, but no role models. Like the role model had to come from outside of the state. Richard Linklater. When I saw Slacker, I was like, wait, you could be in Bumblefuck, Texas, and make a movie. I didn't know it was Austin. I didn't realize Austin was the capital of Texas. And if you were ever going to make a movie in Texas, it was probably going to be in Austin and stuff. But a little ignorance would go a long way. So when I saw the movie, I was like, this guy making a movie in Texas means that I can make a movie in New Jersey. It's saying that like you ain't got to be from New York or Los Angeles. Make it in your world. And he made Austin like the backdrop of a city, almost the main character. I was like, where I live is interesting, and I got that whole convenience store.
Yeah.
So he inspired me more than anybody in the area.
Is that something that you look back on now, where you are and the importance that you have in your community, that you're now serving that role for up and comers who are looking? I mean, you have a fan base that now ranges from, from parents, their kids, and of course, everyone around that area knows who you are and can be inspired by you.
I love that. I'm telling you, I get off on it. It sounds gross, but it's absolutely true. That like money was never the big driver for me. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fucking communist. I'm a capitalist, much as the next guy, but it was never the driving factor. And so any money I ever got, I was always like, holy shit, for making pretend, this is incredible. So I always felt rich regardless and stuff like that. Money's never really been the motivator. The motivator at first was to be heard. Was like, no, I just want to say something, and like I would like people to hear my voice, my stories, my opinions, blah blah blah. Now the driver is the people that you inspire along the way, the people that Richard Linklater did it for me. He wasn't looking for me. He wasn't thinking about me.
Right.
But his art made me go like, maybe I could do something. Same as Spike Lee. I recently saw Spike Lee at where were we? We were in Minneapolis at VCon, a big NFT convention and stuff. And so he was being interviewed for the news. And I've met him a few times in the past and stuff. We share mutual friends. So I got to speak to him. When he was being interviewed, I waved and he waved and he went like this. And then later on, I got to talk to him and stuff. And he said this thing, made me feel like such a professional, because I was telling him, I was like, when you started your journey, when you made She's Gotta Have It, when you, even before that, when you went to film school, when you went to NYU, I know you weren't trying to reach me, you know what I'm saying? But
right.
You did, and I can't thank you enough. It launched my ship. And he goes, the professor teaches all students, Kevin. He's going, so if I reached you, then that was the point. Then I did my job. And he said after that, he was just like, he was indicating that we were at this thing, this event. Mm-hmm. And he was like, we're still here. We're still doing it. Yeah. And that we meant the world to me, because this was somebody who did it long before me, and I saw them do it, and it made my journey possible. Like seeing Spike, take off with She's Gotta Have It, that was fuel for me later on. Like suddenly I was like, well, it's possible. People make movies all the time, independent movies. And, it's like a coincidence that She's Gotta Have It's a black and white movie, and so is Clerks. Mm-hmm. So people like Richard and Spike were responsible for launching my ship. And I love the fact that I could be like that for somebody else. The mural that we're talking about putting in the lobby of the movie theater is just a bunch of famous Jersey people and stuff. For that reason, people come through the door and be like, oh shit, particularly kids. Oh shit, like maybe this is possible and stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Now you've been in the news because of the movie theater. You've also obviously been the kind of the talk of, the fans who've been waiting so long for another Clerks. It's finally here. To look back on everything you've done, it feels like Clerks is that thing that you always go back to when you've got something to say. Like, do you think that's sort of the most personal work between all three films that you've done?
I would say in everything I've done, the Clerks movies always strike closest to home. Chasing Amy runs a second. There's always personal stuff in all the movies, for heaven's sakes, but Clerks started me on this path. And with the first movie, it was easy to tell the story because I was in the world. I worked at that convenience store. I was like a guy who tended register, man, at a bunch of different fucking convenience stores and stuff. So I knew retail and I knew what it was like to deal with customers and stuff. So when we made Clerks 2, it's years later. I mean, shit, 12 years after the first one. And at that point, I have a full-blown movie career.
Right.
So I don't know anything about retail. I do own a comic book store, but it's a thriving business of its own, but it's not really, it's more of a hobby, right? Like I love comics, so I have a comic book store, and I don't tend the register, so I don't know the horror stories and stuff.
Right.
And so Clerks 2 had to be infused with something else altogether because it lacked that kind of personal edge of like, well, I know what it's like to be an employee. Yeah. The boys had to go on a journey that was kind of similar to mine, as much as by the end of the movie, they realized, oh my God, we can buy the store. Like we can be our own bosses instead of just working for somebody else. But Clerks 3 is super personal because not only, does Randall have my heart attack, but then the boys go on and make my movie. Like they also get to make their version of Clerks. And, it's very meta and the snake eats its own tail and blows itself at the same time. But it's super personal too, because all the heart attack stuff was real and making the movie was real. We all did that at one point in that very store. So what I lacked in the authenticity of, hey man, I work in retail, so I know what it's like, that I had in Clerks, I had to make up for that void in Clerks and the Clerks 2 and Clerks 3. In Clerks 3, how we get there is, taking my personal life and jamming it in there, because that's been the formula for Clerks since the beginning. Take my personal life and kind of fictionalize it to some degree. The circumstances have changed because I don't work at the same place because I have to. I sought it out this time, and it was like midlife crisis fantasy camp. Like I got to go back to the job that, I have a very complex relationship with. When I worked at Quick Stop, I didn't want to work at Quick Stop. I just wanted to be any place else until 10:30. As soon as we locked the doors, then I would hang out inside Quick Stop till 3, 4 in the morning with my friends because it was a clubhouse. Like I love the place, but I just didn't like working. I was lazy and shit like that. So I got to go back to Quick Stop all last summer, like right around now, this time we were shooting the movie last year, and work at Quick Stop in the best way possible. Like I would literally walk in and out of the store and walk into RST Video like I used to and shit in the late 80s and early 90s. But I didn't have to wait on customers and I didn't have to be there. Like I was there by choice. And when we were done making pretend that we were working, we all fucking left. I walked away. I didn't have to mop the floors like I used to back in the day or anything like that. It was the best possible version of working at Quick Stop. Like if that had been the job back in the 90s, I doubt I ever would have made a movie in the first place because Quick Stop fucking rocks.
Right. Now, another interesting thing about going back and looking at what you've done and where you've been and where you're going, it's really interesting to see. I mean, obviously, our society has changed so much since Clerks 1, and our approach to humor has changed so much. And your approach has always been, we don't need to be politically correct. We need to be real. We need to talk the way that real people talk, and we need to be funny the way that real people are funny. Yeah. That being said, there's certain elements of humor in some of your past movies that have gone from being like a little bit edgy to just stuff that you would never say in a movie now anymore. True. Do you look back on that stuff and feel like you have to do like a George Lucas? Like, is there do you feel like you need to go back and kind of change the past, or
you certainly can't change the past. And there's nothing in my repertoire that I'm like, fuck, I wish I could scrub that out. Yeah. There's a few things where I'm like, well, it's my movie, but I can't take credit for that or something. But it's rather than go back and take it out or trim things out or whatever, it feels like I get a chance to comment on in an updated version. For example, like, you know, Chasing Amy is a movie that like I caught a lot of criticism for over the last 10 years, from a generation of folks who like weren't there when we first made the movie and stuff,
Yeah.
and see it as offensive. In Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, we got to do this mini Chasing Amy sequel where all the criticisms that have ever called out, like, you know, why is this movie told from the point of view of a cis white male or whatever, got, you know, that became dialogue where Joey's character talks about that and stuff. In Clerks, there's a moment where, you know, in the first movie, they talk about an Asian design major. And we, in Clerks 3, we touch on that again and kind of go into the origins of it. So I wouldn't say we double down on it, but it's just like we kind of make fun of ourselves when we bring it up because it's something that has come up like over the years and stuff. Yeah. So it's, for me, it's better to comment on it. Better to be like, yeah, I guess we were all fucking dumb then, moving on, rather than to be like, let's take out the secret scissor and take it away. Right. You know, you can't run from that sort of stuff. You know, most of my career came of age on the internet, so there's a fucking record of everything, for heaven's sake. So no point in like running from it, as opposed to like embracing it and trying to explain it, deal with it, correct it, and grow. You know, that's trimming shit away doesn't really allow you or anybody else to kind of grow. Leaving that shit in, I think, is an indication of growth. Like, yeah, that used to be okay. Now it's not. Like, and can't erase what it was, but can address it in future iterations of a story, and say, you know, hey man, we acknowledge what it was.
Yeah. Going back to something you said before, I just want to touch on, you know, how much you love the idea of kind of inspiring, you know, the kids of today or kids of different generations from afar to kind of follow in your footsteps. But you've also worked with, you know, a variety of different names that if you look down the line, like when you talk about a Ben Affleck, like a Jason Lee, like guys who were just coming into this world, and you were a part of that initial kind of shepherding of them, I guess, into becoming the stars they were going to be. Do you look back at that with a sense of pride that you were able to kind of be a part of that development for them?
Yeah, my God. It's, you know, there was a time where I was the big story, and so I was able to help people like, you know, Ben and Jason and stuff like that. Now I'll never be as big a story as Ben. So it actually helps me that back then I was like, here, man, let me jump in here. Let me try to get your movie made and stuff. Yeah. Because I had juice then, and the older and longer one stays in the business, the, you know, less they give a fuck about you. They've seen all my tricks and shit. But because I have people on my side who I've been working with since the beginning, since I believed in them before they were famous and shit, I'm able to whip out some cool, you know, people put in the flick, and makes you look relevant, hip, I guess, to some degree. Like, makes people think, oh, well, fucking, if that person will still work with them, I guess he's still fucking relevant to some degree or whatever. Right. But for me, it's just like, these are cats that I believed in dearly. And, you know, when they get fucking famous, you're like, I knew it. Like, I knew I was right. Like, of course they were fucking special. And you feel special and smart because you got to identify it before anybody else. There's a sense of authorship. Like, you know, I think of people like Brian O'Halloran and Jeff Anderson, who played Dante and Randall. Right. Ben Affleck, Jason Lee, who played Holden and Banky, or Ben and Matt, who played Bartleby and Loki in Dogma. Like, you know, those actors will play so many fucking roles across their entire careers. I'll only make a certain amount, a finite amount of flicks. And they inhabit those performances for the rest of my life. Like they go on to other things, and I'll do other things too, but like that's my repertoire.
Yeah.
And those names are the co-architects of my entire world. Like, there ain't no Clerks without Brian and Jeff. There's no Chasing Amy or Dogma without like Ben and Jason Lee. So, those people I think of, it's nice that they got famous and shit. Certainly makes it easier for me to convince people to let them be in my movies. In the beginning, I would have to drop the budget to get them into my movie. Chasing Amy was meant to be a $3 million movie. They wouldn't let me make it for $3 million with Ben and Joey and Jason. I dropped it to 250 grand. Well, 200 grand and got to 250. And then they were like, go ahead. Now you can make it with your fucking friends. So, I hate to use the terms and make it seem like war, because making art is not like war at all. But like, I was in the trenches with these kids making my dreams come true. They were laying the track with me. So forever, they maintain an incredibly special place in my life. So I'll always reach out to them to try to bring them back into shit that I did or that I'm doing and stuff. But even if I never work with them again, the sense of pride you feel when you watch them kind of ascend, when you watch other people go like, I do like that performance, so I'm going to put them in this thing. I've seen it happen with a lot of people I got to work with over the years, and it's breathtaking. It's fun. Like I've had both sides. I've gotten to work with already famous people who are already like iconic and whatnot, who, working with me didn't help their career one iota, but for whatever reason, they chose to work with me. And then I got to work with people where I got to, introduce them. And ladies and gentlemen, meet these cats that I find really interesting. And they've become part of the firmament, part of the establishment, part of the business. It's really cool. Like, and the older one gets, that's what you think about is like, did I make a mark? Like while we were making marks, you don't think about making a mark because you're just thinking about doing the thing.
Sure.
But the older one gets, the more it's like, look, it's paid all my bills and I've been happy for the last 30 years, but has anything I did made a fucking impact, or is it just going to die with me when I drop dead? And I've got enough things that are like, oh yeah, like, and they're going to know you were here. And, it's like, never mind the actors we've worked with who have gone on to be like huge movie stars, dopey shit. Like me and Muse got our handprints in the cement at the Chinese theater, stuff like that, where it's like, look, love or hate the movies, you can't deny they happen. You can't deny that like we were a part of shit. So that makes me happy, like knowing that like, for a few minutes after I drop dead, this shit may go on without me. I always assumed once I fucking drop dead, that was it. It dies with me. Like even common, it all just gets buried with me. But there's a chance that it does outlive me. There seems to be no expiration date on fucking Clerks. This still blows my mind to this day. Movie, they're all wearing acid wash fucking jeans. Nobody got a cell phone. And still that movie plays and plays and plays because everyone's always had a shitty job at one point or another in their life. And the black and white like helps, gives it a timeless fucking feel and stuff. But I got lucky with that one. Some of the other shit I've made, their shelf life is already passed and nobody really talks about them anymore and stuff. You get a handful of flicks that are memorable or people are like, oh shit, that's my jam. And that's enough, I've found, to like carry you throughout a career. But I always assumed just a career, that when I fucking stopped promoting this shit, that no one would remember. But I got a sneaking suspicion like one or two of them are going to outlive me, and that feels pretty great as an artist. It wasn't something I was ever thinking about in the beginning because I was too fucking ensconced in the moment. But now, the older I get, when there's less time in front of me than there is behind me, suddenly you start to think about shit like that, and it's like, wow, like I'm gonna be gone and motherfuckers are still gonna be wearing Silent Bob shirts for a minute. That's kind of cool. I mean, they're gonna be, because I put it in motion the moment I dropped dead. I told my kid, I was like, you have to do nothing. It's all in motion. The moment I drop dead, the t-shirt machine gets turned on full blast. This most beautiful picture of me in Clerks, the one that everyone fucking loves and shit like that. Well, we mint $1 million and you'll never have to work again. And your father will provide for you even from beyond the grave.
that's, that's the ultimate gift. Maybe a little creepy, but the ultimate gift that a dad can give to their kids. So
Truly. The weird thing is she's so like weird about the money. Like if my father was ever like, I'm gonna, when I drop dead, turn on the t-shirt machine and you'll never have to work again, I'd be like, I love you, Dad. You rock. My kid is just very uncomfortable with the money because she came up with it. And I always try to tell her, I was like, kiddo, like, we just have more money than I had as a kid. But if you want to see real money, go over to Ben's house. Like, that's fucking money. But the kid's got like a weird relationship with it. Like in a, oh, this was foisted on me. And, she's like, everyone reminds me how lucky I am all the time. But like, I don't know why they think having money's lucky. And I'm like, because it ameliorates a lot of problems. It doesn't buy happiness, but it'll fucking clear a path. And it'll definitely make sure that you're not dealing with as much unhappiness as you would be dealing with loot. So I feel like, in one way, just fucking weirded out by the fact that she's weirded out by the money, where I'm like, I tell her all the time as a kiddo, you're the only child we have. What the fuck am I doing all this for? If not you, you better fucking take it and enjoy it. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, good for her. Like she's got more integrity than I instilled in her, where she's like, I don't know where she gets it from, because her mom's the same like me. She grew up without loot too. So she's like, fucking, I've not had and I've had, and having is fucking better. And the kid is way more St. Francis of Assisi about it, which is kind of nuts because she wasn't raised with any religion whatsoever.
Well, obviously, you mentioned money, not necessarily your driving force, your driving motivation all this time. But what you've talked about in prior interviews is your love of movies and maintaining your love of movies. And
that's my currency right there. Never mind money. That spends even more, man.
And
movies.
I mean, that's what I want to ask you, because, and I heard you just, you're always so positive. You try to be so positive when you talk about, reviewing different movies. I just recently heard you talking about Thor: Love and Thunder, and just, going into, why you try so hard to keep your love for movies, because that's what pushes you to continue to want to create.
Yeah.
Have you ever had those moments in your life where you felt jaded, you felt like maybe a loss of faith in your passion for films? Like maybe you had it, and what did you do in that case to get back on track? Because your career, your whole livelihood seems to hinge on the fact that you're just so purely passionate about it.
You're so sweet. It happened. There was a moment where, what was it, after Red State, between Red State and Tusk, I took 3 years off, and I kept saying, like, while I was on the Red State tour, like, I'm retiring. This is it. I'm doing a Soderbergh, man. Like, I'm retiring. And there's like a whole ass Rolling Stone article where I talk about I'm retiring. My mother, I only remember because my mother called me up crying, because she's like, I read this horrible article where you talk about you're not going to make movies anymore and you're just going to sit around and masturbate. I didn't raise you that way. I was like, Ma, the jerking off thing was more of a joke.
I was going to say, which part was she most upset about?
I was like, really? Come on, man. But she was kind of bummed by it. I had reached a point at that time where I was really like disenchanted by marketing, how much it costs to release a movie. I could control the cost of making a movie to the point where I could just give up a salary, or, I made Clerks. I know how to get it real cheap. But you could make the movie as cheap as possible, and then you hand it over, and then they pour $20 million in fucking marketing all over it. And, I was like, I just can't do it. I hate doing it. I don't have that kind of audience. You don't need to spend that. And I was so tired of them talking about, we're going for the widest possible audience. I'm like, why? I'm an acquired taste. Like, if I could admit that, why can't you? I'm not ever going to make a fucking blockbuster, man. Like, I make Kevin Smith movies, and there's a ceiling to that, glass or fucking otherwise and shit. Probably made of fucking jorts or something like that. But like, it was something that I always tried to push through, where they're like, yeah, but we're going to sell this to everybody. They would do test screenings where they would always bring in people that had never seen anything I'd ever done. I'm like, why? Like, and, I get it. They were always trying to grow the business and grow my audience. But I'm an indie filmmaker. That's how I got in. This is the only way I got in. I'm an outsider artist, man. I saw other outsider artists do it.
Yeah.
And they too weren't mainstream. And that's what appealed to me. If somebody was like, if you get in, you got to do this shit until you make $100 million movie, I wouldn't have tried. That's daunting. Indie film showed me that you can make a movie, don't have to make any money, just needs to be a self-expression of you. You know, you try to keep it cheap so that somebody makes their money back, but like it ain't about like grossing at the box office or anything. And that always appealed to me, and all of a sudden it become a business. Like, you know, it always was, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, the financials just didn't make sense to me anymore. And finally I was like, I don't want to do this. And Red State Tour resulted from that, because I was like, I'm going to take the movie out myself and not spend any money on marketing. Let's see if that's possible. And that was the root of what we do now. That's like the root of the Jay and Silent Bob Reboot Roadshow tour, and also the convenience store that we got coming up. So during that 3 years off, I podcasted like a fuck ton. That was where I built the live show business that I have with most of my friends. I had been touring by myself for years at that point, just standing on stages talking. But then I started going out with Scott Mosier and Smodcast, Jason Mewes and Jay and Silent Bob Get Old, Ralph Garman with Hollywood Babylon. These podcasts that I've been like working on and kind of just devoting all my time to, not because it was a good business, just because I was like, you mean I could have my own radio show and nobody's going to fucking say no? Like, oh my God, I'm going to do this like crazy. And then we learned that you could take them out in the world and shit, you know, like do them in front of people. That's what Hollywood Babylon was. And Jay and Silent Bob Get Old, two podcasts that were born in front of audiences. But Smodcast was just me and Mosier sitting in the office behind the desk. And for like 2-3 years joking about, could you imagine doing this in front of people live? What a ridiculous thing. But that became my business. So now financial independence was born in that 3-year gap of me not making movies, because once I didn't have movies to earn off of anymore, I had to figure out, all right, well then how do I make a living? And it's through talk. Like, oddly enough, I get paid more, or not. Let me put it this way. I make more standing on a stage talking about making the movie than I ever do making the movie. Like, making the movie is creatively satisfying. I get to self-express, and there's definitely a little bit of scratch, and certainly better than I would make if I was working at the post office like my dad did for years and shit.
Right.
But that being said, like it's never about the fucking loot. It's always about like, well, let's do this thing, and let's get it as cheap as possible until we can do this thing. And when I toured, like with the podcasts, like I had to rebuild my business. My business was predicated on me standing there by myself talking for a while. Suddenly I was like, no, I'm gonna sit down with my friends. We're gonna talk to each other. We're not even gonna talk to the audience necessarily. I had to rebuild that business. And on the strength of that, that was when I was like, you know, maybe we could fucking tour things. Maybe we could kind of do that. So once Red State was over, all I did was kind of devote myself to podcasting and live shows. And that led to like Comic Book Men and stuff like that. Yeah. And that eventually led back to podcasting, led back to film, which was me and Scott Mosier sitting in this very room doing episode 259 of Smodcast, which was called The Walrus and the Carpenter. And, you know, telling this ludicrous fucking story that we'd read online about a guy who was offering you a room for rent in his house. You know, you'd pay nothing, but for 2 hours a day, you had to dress up in a very realistic walrus costume. And so we built this like movie, just fooling around, going back and forth. Oh, we do this. And at the end of it, I was like, you know what? That ain't a joke. That's a legit movie. Mm-hmm. And so that brought me back to movies, was imagination, was the desire to see a thing that nobody was ever going to do. Like on the podcast, I talk about like, where are all the brave filmmakers who would make this man to walrus transformation? Where are the guts? And then I realized you used to be a gutsy filmmaker. Like, why don't you fucking do it? And that's why I consider Tusk to be like, you know, even though there's a Clerks II and a Clerks III, spiritually, Tusk is the only sequel to Clerks. Clerks was a movie that was made without thought of anybody but myself. It's a very masturbatory affair. Yeah. Not thinking about critics, not thinking about box office, not thinking about film festivals, didn't even know about those. Just wanted to fucking see the movie. Same thing with Tusk. Tusk was born out of whimsy on a podcast where I was like, I would just love to fucking see this movie. And I have the skill set. Like, you know, I don't have to just dream about it. Like I could if I apply myself. make this fucked up walrus movie happen, because nobody else is ever going to try to do it. So if you want to see it, fucking be it. And so that brought me back into movies, and that passion has like stayed reignited ever since. The heart attack 4.5 years ago also upped the ante, because like, you know, when you fucking almost die, suddenly you're like, oh shit, I've still got a bunch of things I want to do. I wasn't done talking yet. So that, you know, if I had still been retired as a director as I was for those 3 years, that would have unretired me in a heartbeat, because I would have been like, holy shit, man, like you're taking this for granted. Like you're breathing rarefied air and you can make movies, and you're not choosing to, because why exactly? This makes no sense. You can do all these other things you love doing. You can also make a movie from time to time. There's no absolutes here. You get to create your fucking career. And I think that had a lot to do with it too. Like I began as a filmmaker, and then at a certain point, like, you know, the critics liked me in the beginning, and then they stopped liking me and stuff. And then I felt like, well, like I can't count on them or movies to pay the bills all the time. Like, you know, fucking I've dodged bullets like Mallrats before. That movie was tanked when it came out and stuff. But like, you know, at a certain point, if you're just a director, sooner or later, maybe somebody doesn't want to give you money to direct. And then you could pay for the movies yourself. But like, you know, you age out. Martha Coolidge taught me on this job, you age out. She directed Valley Girl. And I had her on the podcast once, and I was like, we were talking about her frequency of work. And I was like, so what, did you just find something better you like doing? She's like, no, they just don't let me do it anymore. I was like, what are you talking about? You made fucking Rambling Rose. She's like, at a certain point, the phone just stops ringing. And that fucking terrified me, where I was like, all this time I was used to people calling me, and one day that was not going to fucking happen and shit. So I had to be prepared for that, had to make sure that I didn't need that phone call. That if I wanted to do a thing, I could make it happen. And that's where everything came together. Like, I know how to make a movie, but, you know, I don't want to fucking spend $20 million in marketing that movie. That's how those movies don't get made.
Right.
Like, at the end of the day, I could get the budget low, but they're like, yeah, but we got to put 20 million on top. And I don't think people are going to come for that. And then it doesn't wind up happening. But with touring, with taking the podcasts out in the world, like I had a model where I was like, look, we can monetize this way. We can get a budget and fucking give them home video, and that's where all the loot is and shit. And we could take this little piece for ourselves, and I could take it out in the world. And that to me is satisfying. Never mind the money aspect. Sitting in a theater with 1,000, 2,000 fans, hardcore fans, not just people who are like, I like movies, this one's playing. I'm talking about people who are like, I paid $100 to watch this fucking movie with Kevin Smith. I don't give a shit if it sucks. It's going to be the best movie I ever fucking saw. So we jerry-rigged the system, man, like tilted the table, so to speak, in as much as like when we go on tour, it's a blissful experience. I've referred to it as going to a church where I'm both the priest and Jesus as well, because they're there. You're the celebrant and the celebrated at the same time. And so that to me is why I get to connect with the audience. Like I get to have screenings. I'm at every fucking public screening, like of the movie when we go on tour and stuff. Yeah. And so it all, like I found something that works for me, that makes me happy, where I don't have to carry around the cross of like, this movie didn't do well for whoever fuck financed it and shit. The only reason Clerks 3 exists is because when we finished Jay and Silent Bob reboot, Lionsgate had a home video. They didn't even have theatrical. That was Saban and Universal International. But Lionsgate had a home video. Saban sold it to them. So Lionsgate reaches out to us after the movie goes to home video, and they're like, look, if you ever want to do one of these Jay and Silent Bob pictures again under this price point, which was under 10 million, it's like $8 million. They were like, come here, do it, because we sold so many fucking DVDs and Blu-rays. And I was like, they still do that? They're like, oh yeah. And your people bought them. So physical media, people buying physical media in a world where we all just usually stream shit on Netflix. The people that buy physical media, whether to have me sign it or just because they're like, hey man, I like my library and shit, made Clerks 3 happen at the end of the day. But they made a version of Clerks 3 happen that it was not going to be like, we're going to spend 20 million to market this fucking movie. The understanding was always like, we're going to take it the way we take it, you know, to home video and shit. You guys tour it. And, you know, then they also, Lionsgate was like, we'll do a Fathom events thing as well, which we did on Reboot and went very well. Seems to be going well enough this year that they're actually expanding beyond the like 2 days, which is kind of exciting for us. So,
Awesome.
finding new ways to do the job that made it like logical and exciting for me and invigorating,
Yeah.
and knowing that people are watching. Like I met a filmmaker at Sundance 2 years ago who was talking to me about like when I was there with Red State. I stood up on stage. I was like, I'm going to take this movie out myself. Indie film's not dead. It's just been sleeping. Indie film 2.0. And a bunch of people online were like, go fuck yourself. And, I toured Red State and it was great for us. But I was like, did it mean anything at the end of the day? 2 years ago, I was at Sundance. I was interviewing people for IMDb for like 5 years in a row before the pandemic and shit.
Yeah.
And there's a filmmaker I'm talking to who's like, oh my God, I was there the year when you did Red State. And I was like, oh, what a debacle. And she's like, oh my God, not at all. She's like, I brought a movie there. Nothing was happening with the movie. Nobody was buying it. And then I saw you, a guy who's been in this business for a while, going like, fuck it, I'm taking my movie out myself. She's like, it saved me. Like, that's what I did with my movie. Like, I found another way. And then I found a way to do this again. I'm back this year with a bigger movie and shit. She was like, no, I heard you. She's going, I think a bunch of people did. And that made me feel so happy because there's sometimes you do a thing and you're like, did it have any impact whatsoever beyond me, beyond my personal impact? I'll always make sure it satisfies me. Like I said, masturbatory. But you wonder if it does anything for anybody else, if it floats their boats, if it makes them want to go make a piece of art themselves. And hearing that was very satisfying.
That's awesome. You've got a lot on your plate. We're still all taking in Clerks III. People are, loving it. It's very well received. There's been buzz for like a year since you guys started filming it. And we're already looking to see what's next. We know you have your movie house coming. You're starting a film school, if I'm correct, in that movie house, which is totally such a cool full circle move for you.
It is a kind of neat thing. And it came from like for years, I'm a movie person. Even before I made movies, I'd go to the movies all the time. I go to the matinees with my dad. He pulled me out of school. We'd go see matinees at 12:30, 2 o'clock. And when you go to a matinee in a movie theater, it's like you and 3 people, and that's it. And the rest of the place is lit like Christmas, and they got full staff. And, as a kid, this never occurred to me. But like the older I got, I was like, doesn't make financial sense probably. Like they're spending more money to just be open at the matinee, and then there are people coming to see the actual matinee, particularly on the weekdays.
Yeah.
So I was always of the mind that like, you should use movie theaters differently during the day. Like use them like classrooms. Like that's all a classroom is, a bunch of chairs and a big whiteboard at the front and shit.
Yeah.
So I always felt like, when I went to film school, I sat in a film theater as our classroom. I was like, I would rent out my movie theater to a film school, like in the beginning of the day. And then at 5, 6 o'clock at night, we'd switch over to public, theater, public screenings. Mm-hmm. So when the opportunity to buy the Atlantic movie house with my friends, with Ashley, with Ernie, with Jeff, arose, I had this like back pocket whimsy I'd always been holding on to my whole life about like, well, if you own a movie theater, you rent it out to a film school. But like now I've had a whole ass career where I'm like, well, I don't have to rent it out to a film school. I could be the film school. And then it's, I live on the internet, so I know what happens if I announce that I'm opening a film school. Half the internet's like, you can't even make a fucking movie yourself. How are you going to teach somebody else to do it? You lousy hack, fucking piece of shit. So I make that foolproof as well. So it ain't a film school. Is Vusk University, the Jay and Silent Bob Film School. Now I'm going to teach people how to make a Kevin Smith movie. Nobody could fault me on that. My guts and be like, he couldn't teach it. Well, I guess he could teach that. That's the one thing he could fucking teach. So when I was, talking about buying the theater, that was already in the back of my head where I was like, okay, buying a movie theater in this day and age, is vanity at best and perhaps, financial suicide at worst, because people aren't going to the movies the same way they have been traditionally for the last 50 years of my life, 52 years of my life.
Right.
But I don't have to rely on just film exhibition, which is what most movie theaters have to do. They put movies up and, hoping people come to the movie theater to do exactly that, see a movie. I got 5 theaters of varying sizes, and I do live shows all the time, and I got connects like crazy. So I'm like, yeah, we're a movie theater, and then we're also a live theater as well, and we're also a stand-up comedy joint, and we're also a music joint. Like, give me 5 theaters and enough free time, I'll fucking fill it with shows. I got enough friends, man, and I got enough people who like come out to New York to do stand-up. Ain't no thing to be like, stay one more day, come down to Atlantic Highlands. I got a fucking apartment above the movie theater you can rent and shit, or you can stay in. It's my apartment, you got to rent. And we'll pay and put you up and have you do a show and shit like that. So being able to monetize the space beyond the traditional path, knowing the traditional path is there so that if I'm not in town, movie theater takes care of itself. And that's what it does. It at least pays for its mortgage, its rent. Yeah. But knowing that I can then come in and be like, all right, let's do this. Let's do this. These are exciting things. Like we're doing a film festival in December. It's supposed to be in August, but we were a bit victims of our own success. We thought we'd get like 100 entries. We got 1,000. So we're paring them down to what the film festival will actually be. We do that in early December. We'll be doing Vulgarthons, which are mini film festivals I used to do in Red Bank at the theater near the Secret Stash. Now we'll do them in our theater and whatnot. I know one of the first events that we're doing, and I know it'll be a repeat event, is the Clerks Open All Night Marathon. So we'll pick a Friday night or Saturday night, and we start watching Clerks at midnight, and then we watch Clerks 2 at 2 in the morning, and Clerks 3 at 4 in the morning, and then sun comes up, and we all get bagels and cream cheese. So shit like that, making it fun, making it like I cannot tell you since I put on Twitter, hey, I'm gonna buy this movie theater, how many people have been like, please bring back Rocky Horror Picture Show. I was like, fucking done and done.
Nice.
Like, we've got, like, think about it. Even if I've got 5 different theaters there. So the big one's like 250.
Yeah.
Small one's 99. So it's like, if you don't get 250 people showing up to your Rocky Horror Picture Show, the 99-seat theater down the hall is just as fucking good. Man, you got scalability. So I look for, and then of course the other thing was like, if you own a movie theater, you're stupid, and you're in the movie business, you'd be stupid not to write a movie for the movie theater to shoot in the movie theater. So when I knew we were buying the place, I started writing a movie called The 430 Movie, which we're going to shoot there in early 2023.
Awesome. So much to look forward to. It's just so exciting.
Always like, look, for me, as long as I'm above ground, I'm always going to keep smearing my fucking Kevin Smith feces all over the pop cultural landscape. But that's not what keeps me living, kids. What keeps me living are the Marvel movies and the Marvel TV shows. That's what I live project to project. Every time I think like, you know what, this whole world is too much for me. And then they're like, we're doing Daredevil. You're, Born Again. I'm like, yeah, I can live. What is that? 2024? All right, you got a deal. I'm going to live at least that long. And shit.
And that's the mark of a guy who's truly passionate about movies. We just talked 40 minutes about your career, and now we're ending it on. We're all part of the same world, and we're all loving it, and we're all just so excited to to celebrate and enjoy your past, present, and your future. So it's awesome that you got so much going on, and can't wait for the theater.
It means the absolute world, man. Oh, it's going to be a good time. Come see flicks there. I've seen so many people on social media like, well, now I have to go there before I die. And that's pretty good, man. If we keep that up, that means everybody has to go before they die.
Right. Your marketing plan is to target bucket lists.
Yes. You're absolutely right. So smart. I'm going after that middle to late age group that's just like, have I done everything I wanted to do in life? Like, hey, man, we can give you a cheap way to check it off your bucket list. Come watch Clerks with Kev.
Awesome.